So, recently my friend circle has been really into the TTRPG system Masks. If you don't know, Masks is a powered by the apocalypse game system where you play as young superheroes, trying to find their way and work together as a team for the first time. It's a fun system, and we had enough campaigns to make a mini shared world out of it all. Yeah, like that one, but, good. If you want to see the system in action, I highly recommend Valor Academy and Valor Punk by the TTRPG group Surprise Round. They just put so much effort into the characters and world, it's amazing to watch. Anyways, there was a mask campaign in my own circles that I wasn't officially in, but spectated upon, voicing some characters now and then. The reason I was there was because sometimes when one of the players couldn't make it, they have me fill in and they'd instead play a different group of characters known as the Chuckle Funks. Basically, the main party were C or D list heroes, and the Funks were lucky to be considered H tier. It was a much looser, goofier series of one-shots that were easy to set up in case the normal session got cancelled. Also, I got to GMS session where the villain was Cheese, but that's a different story. Anyways, it was a fun set of one-shots. Only problem was, it took me a while to create a character I felt good enough to keep playing as. There was no limit on swapping characters, which I would have taken advantage of anyways because I like playing many different characters, but it took me a while to get myself into a groove of a single one. So for example, the first character I played in these sessions was Payphone Man, a sentient payphone with robot arms and legs, fighting for payphone kind against its irrelevancy in the modern day. His origins is that once a mad scientist decided to enhance every payphone in the city of Alpha Victoria into a killing machine. But before he could bring his plans into fruition, he realized, wait, this plan is stupid, and abandoned the whole thing. Payphone Man himself was awakened by accident, and whenever he's destroyed, his consciousness jumps from a different payphone machine. It's great. There was this one moment where the baddies we were after were making their move, and PM in disguise started following one of them.
Got away from that crazy thing.
So yeah, that was a great session with him. Problem was, the humor potential with him was not very high. I pretty much used up all the jokes I could think of with the first session. So for the next Chuckle Funk session, I made Prima Puree Fruitcaster Cherry, a magical girl who was part of a typical magical girl team until she became obsessed with guns. Now she's become far more powerful and crazy solo, channeling her magical girl energy into her bullets and creates explosions upon impact, leaving a refreshing cherry scent behind her. She is an interesting concept, but she was a bad fit for this setting. So like the rest of the party were made of like goofballs and underachievers, people who want to be heroes if only they weren't so lame. Cherry is not lame, and she's insane in not really a fun way. Definitely a character I would want to use elsewhere, but not here. So with two characters rotated out now, I wanted to try harder with making a character that fits the mood of this tone. A character that's well thought out enough that can have many adventures and have no cap on the entertainment that can be brought out of them. Unfortunately, I was busy all day we had the session, so I had to make the character in a rush. What I did remember is that I was really into Sam and Max at the time, and I really liked the irreverence this pair had with all the wacky encounters, so I wanted to make a character with exactly that kind of energy. So in Max, its equivalent of classes are known as playbooks, and instead of defining what you can do power-wise, they describe your role in the plot or character dynamics. There's a really unique playbook known as the Innocent, where your character is a time-displaced version of a future/present villain, battling against the version of themselves that they might become one day. It's a playbook with a lot of drama wrought into how it's constructed, and I decided, keeping with the theme of irreverence, that she didn't care that she might become a villain someday. It's not that she's actively evil, it's just she's mostly normal except she reacts like,
I will become a villain in the future. That's pretty cool.
And keeping with the vibe, her future self is a time-based villain known as Future Tense, who is even irreverencier than the present character. So I had the vibes and the idea down, but I still needed a name. Unfortunately, I am chronically bad at giving my characters names, so I used a name generator, and it gave me fairly normal names like Samantha Rice, or Helen Boyvin, or Genevieve Robitaille, or Remember Base? What kind of name is that? Why would this thing generate a name like Remember Base? Yeah, I picked Remember Base. I was kind of in a half-used state at the time. Nowadays, I just call the character Remy when I don't feel like introducing her in a way that's too stupid. Anyways, the session proper finally started as Remember, Gremlin, Baron Bomb, and Fistproof were getting our mission from our superior officer and Gremlin's adoptive father, Drill Sergeant.
What's on, hot? Now listen here, my beautiful daughter and maggots. We've got to report that a tournament for villains is happening right here in town, and we need you to investigate. In order to enter the tournament, you gotta infiltrate their ranks and gain some villainous cred. There's an Applebee's opening up nearby, and if you annihilate that place under the cover of just being amateur villains, that'll give you the cred needed to be accepted by their number.
Well, I joined this group to reform from being a G-list villain, and now you guys want to make me perform a G-list villain mission.
Hey, it could be worse. Everyone says it was only a matter of time before, quote, I become the force of despair that I'm destined to become, unquote. And now it's happening.
Now move out! March, 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 march!
And so we were sent off on our heroic mission. Destroying an Applebee's. Now, I know what you're wondering. Why Applebee's? Okay, you're probably not wondering that, but follow me for a moment. Well, Baron Bomb's player happens to work for Applebee's, and well, he has given us many stories about how his job works. For example, here's a fairly recent story of his. So yeah, it became our group's policy for every time there's a modern setting and he is playing with us, we blow up an Applebee's. It didn't matter that we were supposed to be heroes, a reason was contrived to get payback against them. So with that considered, the end result was what the GM wanted, it just wasn't delivered in a way they expected. So we went in during his off hours, and it was there we encountered his manager, the Apple Bomber. She took us all on, in particular Baron Bomb, to prove who is the stronger bomber. Also, Rem rammed a truck into the building. That's harder to say than you think. But anyways, the Apple Bomber seemed to have been cornered, beaten by a group of kids, when suddenly she produced a bomb the size of a watermelon. She didn't care if it took her out with her, she just wanted us gone.
Well, this is a pickle plus 12. Where can I put this where it'll harm no one? Aha! I know exactly where to place this.
And so she puts it 12 hours into the past. So with Rem's quick thinking, the Applebee's was destroyed in the past. Despite the fact that we were fighting in an intact building, and we probably would have been fighting if the building wasn't already destroyed, so there would have been no reason for the Apple Bomber to pull out her big bomb, so the method of the building's destruction shouldn't have been produced, which means the building should remain standing, which means we would have fought, which means Rem would have thrown the bomb into the past, and which would have destroyed the Applebee's, except if that's the case, the world becomes a white void for a moment, when suddenly, it appears back. But now there's a huge crater where the Applebee's is supposed to be, and civilians and news crews and police gawking around the detonation zone.
Not bad for a bunch of amateur villains, right, ma'am?
And so, with much reluctance, but mostly befuddlement, the Apple Bomber gave us her invitation to the villain tournament. We were on the next leg of our mission, and the only casualty suffered was the time-space continuum. And so, yeah, that's the end of the story. We were sent to destroy the Applebee's, and we did it, with a time paradox. That's how crazy it can get. I mean, we can't top that. That can't be topped. We can't just, even Remy's not capable of topping that. So skipping ahead a lot, we were in the tournament itself, where Fistproof became kinda sorta maybe future boyfriends with one of our opponent's GPS, and we made a huge mess of the arena due to Remy's comically oversized gun. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that? Yeah, Remy has a Rob Liefeld-esque future gun, given to her by her own future self for protection, given to her long before the sessions. If there was one commonality the two selves had, it was a lack of consideration for consequences. But anyways, we ended up winning the tournament and meeting with the tournament's founder, Noah Penumbra, and we found out the outlines of his evil plans. Before he runs off, we weren't gonna give him the slip that easily, so the team gave chase, but unfortunately he had some tricks up his sleeve.
Ah, help! An innocent tax-paying civilian is being brutalized by villains! Help me, brave heroes!
Do not worry, tax-paying civilian. I shall suppress these nonconformists. So from out of the blue to Penumbra's rescue comes... Mr. Monitor, the douchiest hero of them all. His ability is to freeze people in place using his special drones. Penumbra got away in the confusion, of course, and we were not in the mood to give chase while this guy was on our tail. Rem, and Baron Bomb, but not by choice, stayed behind to fight, so that the others could have a chance to catch up with the guy. He too got Remy frozen in place, but fortunately, in a point in the future where she was unfrozen, she simply traveled back in time so that a version of her would be fighting in the present. GMs, please think twice before giving your players time powers! So, one thing I neglected to mention up to this point is how health works in this game. Every time you take damage, you instead take a condition, which serves as a debuff to one of your 5 stats. For instance, the Hopeless condition gives you a penalty for using your powers. The trade-off for Rem to be able to use her time powers is that she's using a playbook move called Growing into Power, which lets her use abilities her future self can use, and use her higher savior stat to do it, in exchange for taking damage each time. All of this to say, she had not only racked up damage really quickly, but was growing weaker with each point of damage she got, not helped by attempts to use a time travel that failed. 1v1ing Mr. Monitor goes very poorly as she gets beaten up and is on the cusp of falling unconscious. But then suddenly, the GM hands me a gambit. Rem senses something in the nearby time stream. Her future self. The Remember base that becomes a villain. She's not headed our way, but Rem had a chance to grab her attention.
Well, if I can't do it, then maybe I can.
There! That will teach those juveniles to respect authority. Mr. Monitor cleans up another case of subversive behavior. Haha!
Mr. Monitor, I remember this. What a bore you are.
What's this? More disrespect for my long-reaching authority. I will show you.
Damn it, that guy got away. It sounded like he's gonna be the villain of a different campaign. What the fuck?!
So, we have another villain on the loose. One far more powerful and with even less restraint than any Chuckle Fun's villain we faced before. Oops! So, whether it was because the GM felt bad for potentially leaving me out of whatever's gonna happen next, or because he wanted to tempt fate, he allowed Rem to heal 3 of her conditions, bringing her back to consciousness. From there, we regrouped and tried to formulate a plan with dealing with this thing. After all, Future Base is one of the biggest threats in the universe, and we were just 4 junior heroes. Not even that, we were the understudies, worse than understudies, of the main real actual heroes. What are we supposed to do about this? Well, one universal move in Mass is assess the situation, where you can ask the GM a number of questions based on your superior role. So we asked, how best to end this situation quickly? And he told us we need something that will either convince her to stop or draw her attention even more elsewhere.
Guys, I have a plan. Remy, don't.
I'm gonna do it.
No,
I'm gonna do it.
Remy, please.
I'm gonna do my plan now.
Remy! Hey, me. I think I will stink doo-doo in the future. Aren't you gonna get you for that? Oh, don't be ridiculous, me. If I were to do something to me, then you won't exist in the form you're in now. You little...
So Rem ran off, dodging and weaving through Future Tense's attacks, until she led her right to the crater of the Applebees. Uh-oh. And yes, I'm saying uh-oh as the person in control of her actions. I've lost as much control as the person GMing this game.
Remember, Base. Leave my friends behind. Embrace the power of twisting fate and time to your every whim.
Stopping at the center of the crater, Rem channeled her time travel power one last time.
Well, this is a pickle plus 12. Where can I put this where it'll harm no one? I can deal with it for you. Oh, thanks, me. You're welcome. Sorry about the timeline that's about to be broken. What now? Hey, me! Leave your friends out of this!
And the bomb explodes in Future Tense's face, right there in the rubble of the Applebee's. Which shouldn't be rubble because the bomb that ruined it never detonated there, except we couldn't have gotten to where we are without the Applebee's being destroyed, and it shouldn't have been destroyed because the impetus for it being destroyed couldn't have happened if it was destroyed, and now it wasn't destroyed even though it must not have for us to be here, and the bomb being there to grab is dependent on the bomb not going off in the past, which it didn't, but then it did, but then it didn't, but it must have for in order for any of this to have happened in the first place, but it must have because... It's even worse than before! How does one girl even cause these messes?
Okay, we gotta calm down and figure a fix for this.
Calm down! I don't think we even existed before she worked things up this bad!
Pull yourself together, man. Okay, on the count of 3, we set the timeline like this. 1, 2...
The world returned from white, and the damage from Future Tense's rampage was gone. The damage the heroes and the city took were gone. Everything was reverted as it should be. The time pretzel had been resolved, somehow.
Remy! Oh, hey, guys. I'm all right.
I'm sorry, Rem, but that Penumbra guy got away.
That's fine. Look on the bright side, guys. There is a net neutral amount of villains running around at the end of the day. So let's call it a success. Do you think you'll become a villain like that one day? Oh, you know what, actually? As cool as I become in the future, I think I won't. Because in the future, I won't have you. Thanks, Rem.
That's the spirit. When we work together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. God damn it, we undestroyed the Applebee's!